What if the secret to deeper connection isn't in what you say, but in the split second before you speak? That tiny window between your body's first move and your mind's awareness is where your relationships are actually being written. Neuroscientists have found that your brain starts preparing an action up to 10 seconds before you consciously decide to do it. Your body isn't reacting to the moment you're in. It's running a script your subconscious wrote long ago. And that script, it's your attachment system. It decides what feels safe, what love means, and how close is too close, all before your conscious mind says a word. So when you think, I'm about to respond calmly, your nervous system may have already hit send, launching an old attachment response: freeze, fawn, defend, or withdraw. But here's the part no one teaches you. You can interrupt not only that 10-second gap, but the entire formula your subconscious is using to predict safety. That's what we're uncovering today: how to find that split-second window, decode the attachment script beneath it, and use both to turn reactivity into real connection. Stay until the end, because once you see where the script lives in your body, you'll never confuse protection for connection again. Yesterday, we practiced awareness, simply noticing sensations, emotions, stories as they arise. That was the B in the band key: body, sensations, emotions. And today, we meet the A, the automatic actions and behaviors, because after awareness comes movement. And movement, if unexamined, can speak louder than words. Automatic actions are what your nervous system does when it feels pressure or threat before your conscious mind can intervene. Think of moments like snapping at your partner while cooking, when what you really needed was support, saying, I'm fine. Every muscle in your body screamed otherwise, shutting down mid-conversation instead of saying, I just need to pause and I'll be right back. These aren't character flaws. They're communication attempts. They're your body's shorthand for unmet needs. Science tells us your subconscious may have started that sequence up to 10 seconds before you even knew you were about to act in this way. So instead of asking, why did I do that? Not like me, that's not who I want to be. We can start asking, what was my body trying to say? And where is that actually coming from? Here's a simple 4-step tool to translate those automatic messages into language you can work with. So again, we're going to pause, name it, notice, and then speak the need. Pause and catch yourself mid-reaction. Take a slow breath and name it. I just snapped. That's what happened. Describe what just happened without shame. I snapped and I raised my voice. Notice, feel what's underneath. I'm tense, I'm overwhelmed, maybe even scared. What's the need? What is this behavior trying to get for me? I need support, space, reassurance. I need to feel like they trust me. This is how we move from reaction to reading, from the subconscious firing first to consciousness joining the conversation. We have to learn how to communicate with ourselves. This is what I call turning in. Some people call it shadow work, developing an inner language that's compassionate, specific, and curious, but also understanding that what we get is what's happening internally with us. So most of us have an inner voice that sounds like the critic. You should know better. The judge. That was stupid. The suppressor. Just move on. Or the avoider. Let's not feel that right now. I don't have room for that. But what if your inner voice could sound like a friend instead of a fault finder? Let's practice. You can close your eyes or keep them soft. Find yourself a space that's comfortable. I'm going to bring to mind a moment when you reacted automatically. Maybe you snapped, you shut down, you over-explained, or you avoided. Now walk me through a self-empathy dialogue inspired by nonviolent communication. And there's 4 steps. The first step is observe. Just noticing what's happening. I notice I raised my voice when I felt rushed during dinner. And feeling rose for me. I felt tense, tired. really unseen. I needed support and partnership, but maybe I just needed time to breathe. The need might be a word, right? Like, I need support and partnership. But if you just say that, people might not know what that means for them. Support and partnership means helping you. What do you want me to do? Be specific as to what I want. Support and partnership right now feels like I need space. Support for me right now means I need the room to be clear, or I need silence. It might look completely different from what the person you're talking to understands support and partnership to look like. And support and partnership might mean I simply need time to breathe. I need you to be patient with me in that this might take longer than you might want it to. There might be so many layers here, right? Giving yourself that time for self-empathy dialogue to really go, oh, there might have been a time in your past where you were expected to just do for others without having it be the way that you need for it to be. How do you communicate to yourself in this moment? And this is where the bias key, the reprogramming communication, and the self-care package that we're moving into this week go hand in hand. Because the communication that you say to yourself in this moment is going to change the way you feel. If you don't give yourself self-empathy, then no matter what you say to your partner, to whoever's there, is going to come off completely differently. So maybe you do need that moment and say, hey, I just need a little moment. I need to pause what I'm doing right now and give myself some time to decompress. And that might be really hard. The more you do this work when you aren't pressured, when you aren't stressed, the easier these steps are going to be. And that's why I say doing the bias key, the first step of consciousness, is so important, because it brings it back into your body in an autonomic way. If you're doing it every day, it becomes a practice and your body goes, oh, I know this. I know what to do. And then the reprogramming of a belief, you're going to notice that when you get sparked in these small situations to big situations, they tend to be the same feeling. And it might not just be one, it might be a few that come up for you on a regular basis. And you'll be able to hone it down if you're practicing on a daily basis to like, oh, I know what that feeling feels like. I feel pressured. And when I feel pressured, I want to like either raise my voice or whatever your go-to is, your action, right? That's what we're talking about today. Knowing that action mixed with that feeling can be really telling for you instantly before you start moving. Because those things come quick, but the action can come quick toward others, right? But the emotion is there before. There's that body sensation that might be there even before you know what the emotion is. Practicing this will help create that pause before you've moved into the direction of action. So you might say to yourself, it's okay for me to have a break. It's okay for me to do my work today, to have self-empathy and take that time to do that. And then when you're in that space, do your reprogramming, find out what your bias is and listen to the bias, decompress yourself. When you've gotten into a decompressed state and you notice that feeling has shifted, then come back to the need. Knowing the needs is one part of this, but the emotional regulation is so important, because if you're not really addressing what's happening here as you're speaking to somebody else, and if they don't respond in the way that you would like, it might spark their own triggers, right? Then you're not prepared to be there in a regulated way, in a secure way. However, we're going to do this in our own pace. So maybe the request to self is next time I'll ask for help or take a pause before I overflow. Allow yourself, it's okay to take a pause, to do the work for myself. And to say it, say, I need a pause. It's okay. I realize I need to actually stop this and do something for myself so that I don't overflow. And maybe there's a sign language. Like if you need to do any movement, maybe it's like you're tapped out. That's okay. Say to people you know, hey, when I'm feeling my normal overflow, You know what that looks like because probably your partners or your friends know what that look like or your family members. I'm going to do this. And that means I'm going to be walking out the door or walking somewhere to decompress myself. And then I'll come back. Just, I want you to know that's what that means. That's important because sometimes words are really hard in that moment, and it's okay to not be able to voice it in the practice, right? So noticing what softens as you name it, because naming really shows to be helpful. It almost takes you into control in a way, like, oh, I see you. And a lot of the time the feeling really just wants to be seen. That softening is the shift from subconscious reaction to conscious compassion. And so even just doing this is recognizing it and the exact place where change becomes possible. So tonight, I want you to journal on this. What do I do automatically when I'm overwhelmed or whatever emotion that seems to arise in you? And then ask, what might that action be trying to say to me? What does that part of me really need in the moment? These questions invite your nervous system into a dialogue instead of disciplining or punishing. Use this inner dialogue once tomorrow, maybe before a meeting when stressed, or right before bed when you're calm, or right when you wake up when you're calm. Write down what surprised you. Did something soften? Did you notice something shift? Maybe a new thought arose? Did you feel more trust with yourself? Rate your regulation. If you can imagine that story of something stressful, and find that heightened state and count it. Like say 1 to 10, I'm at an 8 right now. And then do this work. Do the bias key, do the band key, find that need and write it down or voice it. If you already have the reprogramming of your belief, also do that. Just notice how it may shift you and count, like at each level, see if your heightened state has lessened as you've done these key things. And if it has, well, that's the point. And I believe it does. Just naming it in itself can bring it down to a 5. And doing the deregulation or belief reprogramming can bring it down to a 3. It's pretty amazing. So every time you listen, you're strengthening your care package. That's like the first step. And it's about the communication kind of works into the second step, works into the third step of the confidence coming out course. And that inner foundation of trust, awareness, and responsiveness is so important. The care package is trying to show you what needs are being unmet. And that's why all of those things are arising, why you're even triggered in the first place, that we want to proactively meet now. And so that's the point of the care package. You want to proactively not only know what your needs are in those triggering moments, but way before they start, whenever they happen on a daily basis, meet them. And then you're backed by yourself, and you'll find you're not as seeking. The things that used to bother you will start to slowly not bother you anymore. And it'll be like, I don't need that anymore. Interesting. Tomorrow, October 17th, we're going live together. We'll take what you practiced today, noticing and naming the inner dialogue, and bring it into real-time communication with another person using content-based exercises from the Wheel of Consent, and which is from Betty Martin. I was right. Bring a friend if you can, or just bring your curiosity. We'll practice how to communicate needs before they turn into reactions. Until then, remember, your body isn't betraying you. It's communicating. It just speaks faster than your mind. Your job is simply to learn the language. So thank you so much for joining me at the Confidence Coming Out course. This is the 3rd week, and we just started the care package. See you around.